Welcome back to Signs and Wonders, everyone. Alright, we got some super exciting end times events to go over, guys, especially the last couple videos, so make sure you stick around till the end. And if you guys enjoy the videos, please take 1 second to click that like button. Mother says daughter was attacked at school because she wasn't a muzzle. You'll have to excuse me, guys, I gotta use a little code words here because of the algorithm with YouTube, so I'm sure you can understand what I'm saying. So this next story is just an example of what is happening here in the West with our current government elected officials, and when no one does anything or says anything about stuff like this is exactly what begins to happen. In fact, it's gotten so bad that most people won't even talk about it, guys. We gotta be real careful because of YouTube's algorithm speaking about this stuff. A Minnesota mom is demanding answers after she says her 9-year-old daughter was jumped on the school playground by a group of girls who she told targeted her daughter because she wasn't a muzzle. So the principal and the teachers went and spoke with the mother to explain what happened. They made it very apparent that my daughter didn't do anything to cause this, and they told me this was a calculated incident and that she had been attacked on the playground by 4 other students in her grade, Larson said. This is the mother talking, obviously. She goes on to say, I ended up learning this was due to her race and her religion because she wasn't a muzzle. Keep in mind, guys, this didn't happen in Iran or Kuwait or Lebanon. This happened in the United States of America. So that was pretty jarring to hear, she added. Larson, the mother, said she was told by a teacher that the girls said this was why they decided to beat her up. Trudeau government pledges $1.7 million to target pro-family African nations with LGBT pro-propaganda. Isn't it lovely where our Prime Minister is giving our tax dollars right now? There's a friggin' housing crisis going on in this country. The economy's all messed up. It's hard to get a job. I could think of a million other things better to spend our tax dollars on than pro-LGBT foundations in Africa. Like, give me a break, man. Really? I don't know if that's like that in the States right now, guys. I hear it is. That's where our tax dollars are going. So Trudeau's Liberals, including MP Anita Vanderbilt, and LGBT activists are increasingly targeting majority Christian African countries that pass laws protecting their societies from homosexual and gender ideology, which is in their right to do. The Canadian Liberal government has promised $1.7 million in taxpayer dollars to push the LGBT belief abroad and to target pro-family laws in Africa. So they're actually going against and targeting Christian family laws. That's the one thing about the continent of Africa. A lot of the countries, especially in West Africa, are very Christian families, family-oriented Christian nations, which is good. There's a lot of Christians in Africa, and now you see the Liberals are going against, they're literally going abroad. These people, they should just leave them alone, but no, they have to go abroad and give money to pro-LGBT foundations so they can go up against these so-called pro-family oriented Christian foundations. Like, why? Just keep your nose out of their business and let them be good family Christian people. Like, why do you have to go give our tax dollars to these pro-LGBT groups over there just so they can combat the family groups? Like, it's so ridiculous. On May 9th, Liberal MP Anita Vanderbilt, the Parliamentary Secretary for International Development, Mr. Ahmed Hussein, pledged $1.7 million to international groups devoted to promoting the LGBT viewpoint worldwide. Here's a picture of old Anita herself. So she goes on, this is a quote from the great Anita Vanderbilt. She says, "We know that groups who oppose 2S LGBTQI+, whatever that means, rights, are increasingly well-funded and globally coordinated," Vanderbilt said at the conference hosted by the Dignity Network, a coalition of Canadian groups that push LGBT ideology around the world. How lovely. At the conference, LGBT activists complained that while Prime Minister Justin Trudeau promised the funds for the LGBT movement, the funds are slow to arrive. They're still complaining. They're getting almost $2 million, but they're still complaining. According to Vandenbeld, $1 million of the funding will be spent on a US-led research product that aims to stop, quote, stigma and discrimination against the so-called 2S LGBTQI plus people. The remaining $700,000 of taxpayer money will be given to the Rainbow Railroad, a Toronto-based LGBT group. Rapidly spreading Canadian wildfire forces thousands to evacuate and degrades air quality in the US. I figured I would quickly cover this because I'm directly affected by this right now as we speak. I'm actually on active fire evacuation alert, so I might have to get up in the middle of making this video and leave. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but yes, pretty crazy. Everything's burning. I think the fire's about 5.2 kilometers away from me, so it's like 3 miles away. It's super close. So God did say he would never destroy the world with water again, right guys? But what about fire? I think the Bible actually says the opposite about fire. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely noticed this kind of stuff happening way more often than when I was a kid. Forest fires are now just like the new normal, it seems. Multiple wildfires are burning in British Columbia and Manitoba. They've forced thousands of people to evacuate and spread hazardous smoke into the northern United States, prompting air quality alerts. Wildfires burning in the Canadian provinces of British Columbia and Manitoba since May 10th, 2024 resulted in widespread evacuations, significant damage, and hazardous smoke drifting into the United States. Half of my town has actually been evacuated, like I said, so yeah, it's everywhere. According to the JRC Global Wildfire Information System, more than 42,000 hectares or 104,000 acres have burned in BC alone. As of May 14th, an evacuation order affects more than 3,500 people in the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality and Fort Nelson First Nations in British Columbia. One hospital has already been evacuated and a section of the Alaska Highway is closed, and that is what you're looking at right here, the Alaska Highway. Jews in Europe are removing the mezuzah off their doors. So for those of you who don't know what the mezuzah is, it's like a wooden box, usually with some Jewish writing on it, and inside is a scroll which contains Deuteronomy chapter 6 and a few verses from there. Usually the verse that says, the Lord God is your Lord God, one is one God of Israel, or whatever, however that one goes, and then a couple others is what's usually in it, and Jews keep it on their doors. So some Jews in Europe have consulted local rabbis on Hallelic questions in an attempt to find out whether it is permitted to remove Jewish symbols out of concern of their safety. The statistics show an increase of hundreds of % in anti-Semitism throughout Europe. Many Jews are trying to hide their Judaism right now. One of the most common questions to rabbis since October 7th is whether it is possible to take the mezuzah off the door. This says a lot, said Rabbi Goldschmidt. Other precautions that some people took included wearing hats instead of the traditional yarmulke on the street and avoiding speaking Hebrew when riding in Ubers. There used to be a red line between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. We've now seen this red line disappear. I think that ultimately this is not a problem for the Jewish community, but ultimately this is a big problem for Europe at large. This situation in the streets is destabilizing our society. Rabbi Goldschmidt was asked if he was afraid that the verbal threats would also turn into physical violence, to which he replied, "It never stops with words." Demographic winter is coming. Fertility rates have fallen way below replacement levels throughout the entire industrialized world, and this is starting to cause major problems all over the globe. Aging populations are counting on younger generations to take care of them as they get older, but younger generations are not nearly large enough to accomplish that task. Meanwhile, there aren't enough qualified young workers in many fields to replace the expertise of older workers that are now retiring. Sadly, this is just the beginning. If fertility rates continue to drop, we could potentially be facing an unprecedented global population collapse in the decades ahead. This has become so evident that even the mainstream media is starting to do stories about this. In fact, an economist that was just interviewed by the Wall Street Journal is warning that demographic winter is coming. Okay, that will do it for today's video, guys. God bless. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss an upload or live event. If you would like to support the channel or get a hold of me, the best way to do so is by the links in the video description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.